Hi, this is Michael David Cobb Bowen, and I am a data architect, an Amazon partner, and I have just received news. One of the people that I talk to online all the time informed me that Jeff Bezos is looking for some direction in terms of what to do with some amount of money for philanthropic reasons. I have one big idea that I came up with many years ago in advance of social media. I have been a member of the Well, Cafe Utney, Slate, and in social media long before anybody knew what it was. And one thing that I would like to see, part of the problem with our national dialogue and debate, is that we don't have a good system of reputation management. Reputation management in a system that self-polices would give all of our comment sections in our social media the ability to do things that enable self-government. And so what I'm saying is, how about if we had Robert's rules for the internet, and we change the way that we do deliberation so that it's a little bit more structured and that we can actually look at our own reputations. Part of the difficulty of presenting high quality information is that there are always multiple levels of people's ability to absorb that information, and there's always multiple levels of patience that people who understand what they're talking about are willing to give those who don't. And so one of the problems we have with social media is that all of those people have segregated into different areas, so that you have people who are basically cannot have tolerance. And the reason people are intolerant is because they don't necessarily know who to trust. And people get inside of their filter bubbles, and they don't even have an accurate representation of who other people trust. So in terms of what I'd like to see is something that's designed specifically for collaboration. And if you look at everything from Slashdot to Huffington Post to Facebook to all of the deliberative spaces, you can get a thumbs up and you can get a thumbs down. Now, Facebook recently introduced some multidimensional stuff, but it's not about crafting documents of opinion. Wikipedia is about crafting documents of fact, and I think it's time that people do it for things of opinion. Wikipedia is completely user-funded, and it's not a profitable business. So I'm believing if you do this for statements of opinion, it won't be a profitable business either. But adding some reputation management, do you say, is this person on topic when they're talking about this? Are they authoritative when they're talking about this? And give some rating on that. Is this important to me when I hear it? These are three dimensions of reputation that can allow a comment thread to be sorted and ranked. And then you could have weighted voting and say, I believe this because X, Y, and Z. Now, this is all related to my ideas about data journalism, which I have talked about in a longer video. But the bottom line is, what I'd like to see are specific tools that are generated to help people do longer term or to beat shortest attention span. And the problem with our journalism today, which effectively causes problems in our democracy, is that we are this short-term focused. And there's nothing really between the university, where you dedicate yourself to study something for 4 years, and the media, where you dedicate yourself to an issue that goes for 2 weeks. It's just a huge gap where, where there's a lot of longitudinal reporting that can be done. And that can be augmented with the practices that we understand in the business intelligence and that space. But this is not about leveraging machine learning. it's about leveraging people's ability to vote often, um, and in an informed way. So you can have crowds of people who get along with each other, and they can vote in their ways, and those votes can be, those reputational votes can be shared among different crowds, and you let people join the crowds they feel comfortable with, and then you hear who thinks this is an authoritative statement, and that is not just karma, but it's a reputation management that really means something. I think there's a lot of nonprofit work that has to be done in areas of public transparency and accountability in governments, because the speed at which I work in the private sector to accomplish something that gives a business an ability to manage its information goes at a completely different pace than that for institutions, public institutions, municipalities, etc. And there doesn't seem to be an effective way to bridge that gap. And I think some data philanthropy is necessary. And this is stuff that will make our country better. It will serve a civic model that can be useful. There are a lot of people who have contributed to this idea. I follow the Long Now folks. I like Philip Tetlock, for one. I also have not been able to follow Steve Koonin in what he's done with not CUNY, but in New York, his city studies. But again, I think those Koonins may be more for profit. Don't understand it. I don't know for sure, but the bottom line is there are a lot of public data systems that are not serving us well. And if Google's not going to do it into an advertising model, you're not going to get smart people to go do that. And so there really has to be people who understand at a high level how data can enrich our civic lives, because we've kind of lost the blogosphere after just 10 years. And the best of those bloggers have all gone to mainstream media publications, and they've lost some of their audience, and then they're under editorial direction, which is different than what we need. So I'm saying that someone like Mr. Bezos could definitely see these patterns where there are information gaps in our civic lives, and there are no institutions or organizations to help fill those gaps. And I have a bunch of ideas about this because I've been doing it for the private sector for the past 30 years. And I'd really like to see that some people with a little bit longer term thinking involved, who understand what can be done. And I'll just say, blockchain. No, thanks. This is Michael David Cobb Bowen, and hope to see you soon.